Alexa, turn off Doug. Alexa, turn off Doug. Alexa, turn off Doug. Alrighty. I think I fixed something. I'm not 100% sure. But let me know in the comments. I think I did it. I think I figured out the problem. Just doing some troubleshooting. Let me know how it is. How's the stream, everyone? Good Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening. What do I want to do? Well, first I gotta put it under my little thing. Once again, as predicted, left my broken heart open. I ripped it out. How's the stream, guys? Check in and tell me how the stream is. SARS. I might have fucked it up, but let me know if it's more fucked up or less fucked up. More fucked up, less fucked up, more fucked up, less fucked up. Check in, SAR. Check in, SAR. Bro, there's 2 people watching right now. Wait, is that just me? Damn it, it's just me. It's just me. It's just me. It's just me in the room. Is that why people have those like long ass intros even when they say, "Hey, we're starting at 8." Okay, I didn't start at 8 obviously, but you know, the people you know, who stream regularly, they have this long ass intro being like, "Hey, I'm doing shit." And sup, holy cow. How's the stream? Is it smooth now? I feel like I think it's smooth. Maybe not perfect, but better, right? Holy cow. How's the Hey, Cucker, how's the am I like still skipping? Sunday night football ended early tonight. Oh. I was never a football fan myself, to be TBH. Damn it. But do you remember how it is compared to last week? Last week, or you know, previous, like the past few weeks, they've been pretty choppy as fuck. But is it an improvement, or is it kind of like not really that improved? Because I think I identified the potential issue, but I'm not 100% sure. No, it's still giving me the fucking... You know, I might just do a full... Next time, I just might do a full reinstall. But holy cow, you're saying you... It's a little less, right? It's a little less going on, right? Not as much choppy shit, right? Twerk. Am I twerking? Am I twerking? I can't even do it. I'm old. All now, there's none. I think it just like there's still some skipping, but it's not as bad. But next time, I'm just going to try a full reinstall because I think there's still a little skipping. Unfortunately. But sorry about that. I tried to fix it. We're iterating on our fixes. Tech support is on the job. Tech support being me. Just me. But I will try just fucking full reinstall. Because, like, I feel like the streams, when I first started, right? I mean, you guys remember the first streams when I first started. It was never really like that bad, right? When I was like fucking, or was it? Was it pretty not that great the entire time? And I'm just lying to myself. Anyhow, how's football, Cucker? Who's your team? Who do you follow? Who do you follow? Oh, I see like people there's 6 people watching right now, but only 3 people are signed into an account. Seems we've got people who are just watching. People are just watching. Congratulations to the Doyers. Mostly falling for fantasy and gambling, lol. Actually, that's how I got into baseball. When I got into baseball. Well, actually, I got into baseball first because there was this girl I had a crush on who was, not really a crush. It's complicated, but she was a Yankees fan, and yeah, well, had to know everything about the Yankees. You know, now that I think about it, a lot of my special interests have to do with like getting to know a girl better. I didn't make my bed. Oh well. Oh well. Oh well. What there's need to know, the Yankees suck. I mean, they kind of do suck in 21st century, I'm not going to lie. We you know, we've only got 1 championship in our belt in the first 25 years of the century, and that is not Yankee standards. I think there was like what, 20 something, 25, 26 championships in the first century. In the 20th century, so that's like on average 1 every 4 years, right? So in actuality, we should have had 6 championships by now, but we only have 1. So we kind of do suck. I'm not gonna lie. That is an accurate fact. No, 2000 is still the 20th century. It's 2001. That's the 21st century. Don't you know how to count centuries, Cucker? Come on. Come on now. 2000, yes. I know they won against the Mets in 2000. And who did they win against in 2009? Oh, God, I forgot. Doesn't really matter. But then after the 2009, Alex Rodriguez got another bout of, or was that before? I don't even fucking know. I'm just kind of like, can you stop taking steroids, please? Oh yeah, Phillies. Was that with Albert Pujols? Pujols? No, that's the Angels. I forgot what was on the Phillies. Clearly, I don't follow baseball anymore. I don't really care about baseball, to be honest. I couldn't name you anyone. Hey, you and Ralph. Do I know you? Because if you're trolling, you're going to be kicked pretty soon. So you better identify yourself. Anyway. Oh, fuck. Everyone should be required to take steroids. Yeah, it should be like, instead of PED, anti-PED, everyone should be forced to take steroids. Put them all on equal ground. But I actually don't know, like, is baseball even popular anymore? I feel like it's only for boomers. I feel like no one under the age of, like, 30 really watches baseball regularly. Maybe Hispanic people. But everyone else is just kind of like, eh. And then they turned to basketball. But then basketball kind of turned woke. So I guess they're maybe going back to football. I don't fucking know. Football seems to be, after the whole, like, revelation that people are becoming retarded after CTE or whatever. I'm sure that's, I don't fucking know. I just feel like American sports are just solved now. You know, I don't feel any like baseball. I'm just kind of like, who the fuck cares? Exactly. It's just boring. It's just boring nonsense. It's like, you know, 100 years ago, I guess, watching people throw a ball and hit it and run around bases, that was a cool thing. And I could always see the appeal of football. It's somewhat like, physical chess in a way. It's kind of like war. So I can always understand the appeal to it. But yes, Jason Schmidt, American sports have always been a bourgeois distraction. Bourgeois created distraction to, serve as the opium of the people, right? Marx declared in Germany that, because Germany, if you guys know, at the time was very kind of like religious, but in a dictatorial way. Like everything had to be, about what the church said or the Protestants said or, all these kinds of people. And that's how you got Nietzsche, right? You got Nietzsche, who was a reactionary against all that stuff. Exactly. But basketball, I think, because it was more like a black thing, I think it was more seen as cool, especially in the 1990s with the Fab Five. And then, obviously with Jordan's ascent, but also with like the rivalry between Bird and Magic. So you kind of got like a little bit of like a race war going on, like intrigue in basketball. But football is more kind of popular because of the kind of like it resembles war, and our culture is that. Baseball, yeah, I think it's just more of a traditional thing for America. That's why it's still really popular. But I think, like, honestly though, the younger generations have kind of tuned out of baseball. But which is why younger generations more care about basketball these days. But even that's kind of like on the fritz because the last 5-10 years they've been, because it's mostly black people. It's been super fucking woke, and not in a good way. Even against their own interests, right? There was, I remember in 2020, LeBron and Chris Paul were thinking about, doing an NBA boycott, right? To kind of in support of Black Lives Matter, because there was already kind of like a pandemic going on, so they kind of already had to cut the season short anyway. So they were considering, hey, maybe we should just cancel the entire season in solidarity. But then, Uncle Tom Obama picked up the phone and stopped all that shit. So there you go. And then you got hockey in distant fourth place. Sun Wee, what are your thoughts on Martin Luther, the German priest? Well, I actually don't know enough about him to comment too much. But I would say he was a reaction against Catholic capitalism, right? I discussed several times before on this podcast, 1300s were when the Venetian, the Genoans, the Florenzians, the Italian city-states started to get a lot of money during the 1300s, trading through the Silk Road. Marco Polo not discovered, but found a route to China and India in the 1200s. And so they started making a lot of money in the 1300s. And then they started spending a lot of that money in the 1400s. Medici, Lorenzo de Medici, right? And other sorts of rich people in Italy were financing these great projects. They were using homosexuals to make Catholic art, but there was also, some sort of like, with all that money, there are all these other kinds of traditions that were going on at the same time that were, some are like Christian sex or like magical sex that were like pretty much satanic. But yeah, over time, the Catholic Church, from all that money and whatever in Rome, especially, right, They got greedier and greedier because they were like, oh, well, we got this swing. We need more. We need more shit to make in our church because now we got to look better than the Orthodox people. And the only way to do that is to propagandize with bigger and fancier and gaudier projects. You know, the very opposite of what Christianity is all about. And so they were like, hey, I know I can get more money. I'm going to sell these stupid fucking illiterate Christians tickets to heaven because they can't fucking read the Bible. So they're not going to know that this isn't a thing. So all we have to do is just say, hey, if you give us a little money, you're going to heaven, buddy. Just give a little bit more at the offering plate, you know. And so Martin Luther correctly, in my opinion, called that shit out and was like, that shit's bullshit. Your shit's fucking gay and retarded. And that's when the Reformation started. Now, I don't really know too much about him after the fact. But I do know that he considered Jewish people to be allies in the beginning because they too were against the Catholic Church. But then turned against them after he realized they weren't going to become Christian after all or Protestant after all, and said they were, you know, basically everything Revelation says about them, right? You know, stuff like that. That's what I think, I guess, Sunwee. NFL is rigged. NBA is repetitive as hell. Baseball is too slow. Hard to care these days. Yeah. I don't really watch any sports, to be honest. I even just stopped watching most of Hollywood shit. You know, I'll probably watch, obviously, Vince Gilligan's show. But even then, I'll have to fucking find someone with an Apple account or some shit. But yeah, even basketball. That's the sport I watched the most in the past 5 to 10 years. No, so ever since LeBron went to the Cavs, actually. No, ever since LeBron went to the Heat, actually. That's when I started watching basketball. Which is funny because I was actually a LeBron hater before he went to the Heat. Because everyone was like, you know. I guess I'm just a contrarian because he was like so full of himself in the beginning. I was like, motherfucker, what'd you do? Oh, you didn't do shit. You know, what are you so proud about? What are you calling yourself the king for? But then once he joined the Heat, and then everyone started hating on him for joining the Heat, and I was like, wait, but what the fuck did Dan Gilbert do for him? He didn't fucking, you know, even Scottie Pippen, Michael Jordan couldn't do it without Scottie. What's he got? Fucking, you know, Ilgauskas and fucking Mo Williams. I was like, nah, LeBron. And then I started rooting for LeBron after that. But isn't hockey a Canadian thing, eh? You know, whenever my friend, not my friend, my roommate. Well, I guess he's a friend, right? But he was first my roommate. I guess he was first my friend. I guess definitively, I'm thinking in the context of a roommate. Anyway, I had a Canadian-Korean roommate, or Korean-Canadian roommate, who was really into hockey and Canada and shit. Whenever he say something like blah 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 A, I just troll him by like blah blah blah, blah B, blah 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 C, blah 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 D, E F G H I. I guess it's like the stupid retarded thing that like Singapore people do too, like the law at the end, or, you know, I'm a retarded Singaporean law, you know. Yeah, basically I hate on all fucking white worshiping Asians. What do you want from me, right? You just need a sig other who is into sports. I mean, that's why I was into the Yankees, remember? That's why I said it. There was this girl who was interested in the Yankees or into baseball, and I was like, all right, I'll listen to that. Football, there was never a girl that was interested in football that I liked, so never got into that. NBA viewership down because of that Nosferatu-looking commissioner. Oh, you mean the Zionist? He's probably a Zionist too. They're all Zionists. Let's be fucking real. Did CIA use Nietzsche as a model to promote modern art? I mean, I believe so. I believe he was used to promote Ayn Rand and Jean-Paul Sartre because they were existentialists, and existentialism, as you know, is a anti-collective ideology. It promotes individualism, promotes basically petty bourgeois Trotskyism, and I will probably come out with something that will explain how they promoted it, how the CIA promoted him. But oh my god, I need to stop reading and start fucking writing. I think that's what my therapist, yes, my therapist, he's more of a life coach, I guess now, but my therapist would say that, you know, if you habitually do like certain sorts of things, you start to like get stuck in this groove where you just have to do that. And for me, that groove was just reading and reading and reading and reading and, you know, getting addicted to reading. Now it's just time to put the fucking book down. So I'm trying to reverse the order, because in the past I'd be like, you know what? After I read, I'm gonna write. But then I would just read all day, and then it'd be like 12 o'clock or 1 a.m. and I'd be like, well, I guess I'll do it tomorrow. That was basically the past 3 months on this particular episode. So I think I have to reverse the order, where I'm just gonna be like, all right, I can only start reading if I write like X amount of pages. That way I can front load the harder stuff. Because like writing does take a lot more brain power energy, and I feel like I've been kind of eating away at it by just reading first. Because I'm like, you know, when you're reading this type of shit, your brain kind of gets tired, but at the end of the day, right? So that's gonna be a little bit of a switch. We'll see if it works. You have a Jew therapist. Well, I would suggest getting not that. I have a Korean American therapist, which is interesting. Um, yeah, but the way I use him now is more of a life coach. I don't really like. I mean, I also kind of like ask him psychological questions, like what he thinks about Freud and Jung and all these other. He gives me some recommendations as well, as to stuff that I could check out for my own research. Oh, what does he say, Steve? Hey, so are you a Nazi scum? Are you Zionist Nazi scum? Yeah, this is actually the only therapist I liked, because I can kind of tell he's probably, if not on the spectrum, probably neurodivergent himself. So he's like, you know, he can understand why I am. And that's the thing, too. I feel like neurotypicals, they would make terrible therapists, because they would never be able to really, like, identify, like, psychological deviations as well as neurodivergence do, because we're literally neurodivergent, so you can kind of see the deviation from the norm. But if you're a normie, it's harder to see if somebody's like, because there's ways they can mask it that you might not be aware. Well, yeah, I guess if you're a trained psych therapist, you would be. But the point being that if you're already psychologically, then you can more easily figure that out, you know? All right, now I see myself lagging. I feel like they tend to reinforce a Western-oriented mindset, even if they are Asian. Yeah, that's why I like having my Korean therapist, because I don't feel like he does that. I mean, even though his sources are all Western influenced, I could tell he takes more of a rational, logical approach to therapy. which I appreciate. You know, it's kind of like he would call it a combination of philosophy and psychology. You know, not just one of those buckets. Yes. Sup, Steve? Yeah, thanks for checking in. Everyone needs to check in. Let me what was it? NGL, right? One. Let me put this in the chat so people can fucking ask questions if they want, and then I will answer them at the end. Good evening, illustrious media. Any hacks on how to read better? Well, I would start by just reading. A lot of people, I think they just, like make a lot of excuses to read or whatever, or not read rather. It's like, oh, it's too difficult, blah blah blah, whatever. Well, just start doing it. Just just read a page, even if it's just a page. Just read. Just start reading. Try to read regularly. The other thing I try to do is, mix in some difficult readings, as well as some fun readings, because like the difficult readings will allow you to, but you have to do the difficult readings correctly. You can't just like plow through them and be like, oh yeah, I read it without understanding what's going on. You gotta like be like, if you don't understand something, ask ChatGPT what's going on, or blah blah blah, or Grok or whatever AI, or basically like slog through that shit. But after slogging through shit over and over again, you can read shit like that faster. And then, yeah. It really is just like, you just got to do it. There's no real shortcut to read better. You just have to read and get experienced. Asian movement, not anymore. Lol, never again. Yes, I get to use the sick day twice a month. I heard that there's like a trend now where people are using sick days just to sleep, just to catch up on sleep. I'm like, oh geez. What's the quote from Beef? Western therapy doesn't work on Eastern minds. Yeah, something like that. You know what a lot of Western therapy is? It's just fucking liberal jibber jabber. It's just basically excuses for being a little bitch. Like, that's why I don't really like a lot of Western therapy. I agree with a lot of the sentiment in this chat, but the only reason I'm with my person is because, like, I think he's intelligent. Because, like, every time I'd have a therapist before, I'd hate all my therapists before because I thought they were stupid, like, and retarded. Especially at psychology. Like, I would be like, no, that's not correct. I'm like, how am I taking advice from someone who doesn't even know what the fuck they're talking about? Jesus Christ. And, yeah, so that's... I remember over the pandemic, my fucking sister tried to sign me up for BetterHelp. And I was like, this is fucking retarded gaslighting nonsense. Don't fucking send me this shit ever again. And then I was proven right when it was fucking... I learned that it was run by an Israeli company. I was like, never send me this garbage PMC shit ever, libtard fucking retardation ever fucking again. Livia Soprano said it best. Who's Livia Soprano? Therapists are a racket for the Jews. I mean, I feel like all of HR is psychology too. They're just like gaslighting pieces of shit. Let's see. What you guys ask me? He's discussed Israel. He's pretty open-minded, but he probably tacks on more charges to my insurance. Mental Health Day. Therapists are mostly, yeah. If your therapist is a liberal, no, get the fuck out of there. Tell them to go fuck themselves, and Yeah, just shit on their car. Don't ever go to a liberal therapist. Never. Never, ever, 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 ever go to a liberal therapist. They are fucking scum. They're fucking gaslighting scum. And they all deserve 20,000 year gulag. After the revolution, all liberal therapists will have 20,000 year gulag. That's right. Even your body, even your remains will remain in gulag for 19,900 and however many years after you're dead. We need to sequester your remains away from us. Fucking liberal therapists. Liberal therapists, they're like fucking Hans Asperger. That's what liberal therapists are. Hans Asperger was the first liberal therapist. Just a fucking Nazi scientist being like, "Are you good for work?" All right, that just sounded like Borat, but I can't do German. I don't know how to do German accent. The Germans. Sorry. My German accent is terrible. I am sorry. I am sorry for that abortion of an accent. But yeah, exactly. They're just that's what fucking Zionist GPT is doing, or fucking Epstein GPT now, right? I'm like, wait, so you want us to talk naughty to this Chat GPT now? You fucking like psychopath Sam Altman, you fucking retard. What a fucking retard. Psychopath. I should ask if my therapist is liberal. I've never asked in 2 years I've been with him. You should be like, "Are you liberal?" He's like, "Yes." All right. I'm out. Later. Peace, homie. That's what you should do. That's what you all should do. If you have a therapist, ask them if they're liberal. Ask them if they ask them if they think Stalin was based. And if they don't, then you say, "Go fuck yourself, you dumb fuck. You dumb fucking liberal." That's what you that's the litmus test. You're like, "Do you think Mao was based? Do you think Stalin was based? Do you think Kim Il-sung was based? Do you think Ho Chi Minh was based?" And answer to any of those questions was no, then go fuck yourself, you dumb fucking libtard. What if you prompt the AI to be anti-liberal? I don't know. I was just more talking about the AI, the sexual stuff that fucking retard Sam Altman is introducing to be Epstein GPT. But yeah, protests are federal psyops. Finally getting into the main part of my thing 30 minutes in. Y'all heard about the No Kings protests going on? Pretty much supported by the PSL, the DSA. Fucking Trotskyite scum. My therapy is fucking with my therapist now that we're talking about it. What do you mean it's fucking with my therapist? But yeah, I tweeted today something to the effect of, the "I have a dream" speech, that whole fucking bullshit nonsense that Martin Luther King made. Sup Nico P. Yeah, nobody actually cares about the No Kings protest. It's all just fucking... It's just all garbage. It's all garbage nonsense. And you know why it's all garbage nonsense? It all starts from that Martin Luther King speech. In 1963, the March on Washington, right? It was actually threatening to be a large insurrection event, like in 1963. Like, there were a lot of pissed off black people at what was going on in the federal government. And, there was a lot more class consciousness after World War II, especially because a lot of black workers became proletarianized. Most of them were agricultural workers, right? In the South until the Great Migration. There was one great migration, I think, soon after the Civil War, obviously, where black people are like, yeah, we got to get the fuck out of this slave area. And so they left. But then there was another great black migration in the 1940s when America needed black labor to support their war industry, right? So because of that, there was a lot more class consciousness because now you have black people working in the factories for the first time in very large numbers. And with the contradictions of the Cold War being like, wait, how are you criticizing the Cold War for being restrictive and controlling whatever? But it's obviously not equal for black and white people in this country, so you guys are full of shit. So that was going on in the 1950s because, like, the 1950s was all about McCarthyism and anti-communism and all this other shit in the American media. But then people are like, well, yeah, but Soviet Union was like, yeah, but you're lynching black people. So it was actually the Soviet Union who was kind of like pushing that, in like, yeah, you're fucking racist though. Oh, we're not democratic. We don't allow freedoms. Oh, well, you kill black people for fun. So, I guess that's freedom, right? That's democracy. The Soviet Union was really the source of the civil rights movement, actually, ideologically. Like, the women's suffrage movement was also influenced by the Soviet Union after the October 19th Amendment, as I may have mentioned before, was 1920, a couple of years after the Bolsheviks gave women suffrage, right? So in 1963, there were a lot of black people who were like, fuck this shit. Let's fucking do shit. And then along comes Martin Luther King with all his Jewish liberal friends. All his Zionist fucking liberal friends who are like, you know what? Let's make it let's organize this protest. Let's get people happy. Let's uplifting. And, don't talk about violence. We have a dream. Right? That, people will be judged not by the color of their skin, but the content of their character. Push the dream. Okay? Push the dream. Push the Trotsky idealism dream. Okay? The utopian fucking Trotskyism. Push the dream. Don't say anything how you're going to get that dream. Don't talk about how that dream is going to, actualize. Just talk about the dream, man. And Malcolm X was like, the fuck you talking about? I won't say it on stream. I won't say it. I'll type it, but I won't say it on stream. But he said, that's what he said. He called MLK, he called the black liberals, the NAACP, he called them all Uncle Toms. And he was right. He was correct. There was nothing Malcolm X was incorrect about. But you know what pissed off the Jewish liberals? He said, nothing is more annoying than the Jew. he basically was like, they will complain all the fucking time, even though they're not really discriminated against, but they'll complain all the fucking time. And if you say anything bad about them, they'll use their media to, like... he said that back in the day. And the New York Times hated his guts because, the Jew York Times, right? I didn't know about all this stuff in Zionism before I made my analysis about Martin Luther King and Malcolm X before, right? I even thought, Malcolm X was obviously based before, but now that I'm seeing this whole Zionism angle, now I'm like, oh shit, this all fucking makes sense now. This makes sense why they keep pushing Martin Luther King. Even Western leftists, even the ones that call themselves Marxists, still push Martin Luther King. Like white Marxists still push Martin Luther King over Malcolm X. Even though Malcolm X called every single one of his bullshit points out. Because they want to promote Trotskyism. They want to promote defeatism. They want to promote idealism. They want to promote stuff that doesn't fucking work and that just appeals to the masses. And sure enough, after that fucking speech on what happened? Nothing fucking happened. Malcolm X said that too. It was like, yeah, what they're trying to do, what the fucking Democrats are trying to do, Malcolm said, is get you to vote for Johnson. It's get you to keep voting Democrat. He said that in 1964. He was like, after a year later, he was like, this is all fucking bullshit. They just want you tied to one political party because they're playing this fucking political game. They both have the same interests. He called that out in 1964. He was basically, they're the same fucking thing. It's just that one is using black people for their own interests and cleverly say that they're your friend and benefactor when they don't give a shit about you. And that was true in 1964, and it was true in 2020. It was true all over fucking time, all over the fucking protests that we all went to. You know, you had the LA riots, right? That's why you had the Watts riots. The Watts riots in 1965, right? In LA against police brutality. Now that one, because it was the first one, the first insurrection against police brutality in 1965, that actually caused a lot of changes in the LAPD. They made a lot of concessions. But guess what happened after 1992? When you fucked up Koreatown because you were too retarded to understand what the fuck was going on. Well, nothing happened for you guys. You actually shot yourself in the fucking foot because now you had to walk 2-3 miles to get food because you tortured all the fucking liquor stores in South Central. And what happened in 2020? Nothing. All those fucking, nothing happened. There was more police, more criminals, more black lumpen bull criminals because of that too. So you got more police and more criminals fucking you up. And you know, all that happened was a few black people got rich off your asses, had, you know, bought mansions in Beverly Hills. And then now you're falling for it again. It's like, oh, it's all about Trump being evil and pulling these ICE raids. Oh, by the way, we're going to support fucking Ukraine, the fucking Nazis. Like, it's just kind of like, are you guys still retarded? Like, you know, I understand the rank and file regular American people. Yeah, you're retarded. But DSA, PSL, calling themselves the real revolution, calling us the fucking fascists while supporting this fucking bullshit. I'm like, you guys are fucking retarded. You guys are literally fucking retarded. I mean, the LAPD is IDF trained. The NYPD is IDF trained. We all need to go. We all, you know what? We all need to just go to China. We all just need to leave. We all just need to leave, guys. It's just a federal side, you know, like, cause I think they're, you know, I've been seeing these things left and right. And I'm like, man, I feel like there's gonna be a false flag at one of these No Kings protests where somebody's gonna kill a police officer or some shit, and you know they're gonna use that as pretext to, like, you know, militarize the police even more. And I'm like, yeah, this shit. If the Democrats are endorsing this shit, guess what? They're probably working with the CIA. And guess what? Something's gonna go down. Something is gonna go down at that shit. Go out of Korea, Gook. Nice. I will. Are you going to say to North Korea or South Korea? What Wolf and the Fox? What's Wolf and the Fox? I called Malcolm X Black Lenin and MLK Black Trotsky. Because that's what he is. I mean, Malcolm X literally was like praising Mao. And guess who MLK praised? Fucking Gandhi. I mean, look at India and look at China, okay? Tell me who was fucking right. Tell me who was fucking right, Malcolm X or MLK? That dumb fuck. And he was petty bourgeois too. Malcolm X was literally, you know, he didn't like go to high school. Yeah, he was a lumpen pro criminal for a while, but he learned all his shit like he was an autodidact, you know? He learned all that shit by reading a ton of shit. And you know, MLK, he went to like what, Montgomery, and then he got his PhD in Boston or some shit. It was like literally Dr. Martin Luther King. He's petty bourgeois, glasses wearing Trotskyite. And it's just kind of like, wait, why would any Marxist push MLK over at Malcolm X? It just doesn't fucking make sense at all. It might make sense if you're a retarded liberal and you're a Trotskyite. But if you're an actual communist, no, it doesn't fucking make sense. It's actually retarded. There was a reason the New York Times and the northern fucking whites really hated Malcolm X, because he was the one that was calling their shit out and being fucking right about it. And even MLK was like, yeah, he's got a handle on the race problem. He's like the guy that knows exactly what's going on. And that's the guy that inspired me in the first place, you know. But he was the one that, like, not only identified the race problem, but he connected it to worldwide imperialism. Something that not even W.E.B. Du Bois did, right? He connected slavery to imperialism, but he was so fucking retarded, he praised Imperial Japan. But people think W.E.B. Du Bois is like the communism guy too, just because he became a communist later in life. Never retracted his statement either. But everyone tries to avoid giving Malcolm X his flowers, and I don't fucking understand why. Actually, I do understand why. It's because fucking white liberal leftist Trotskyites disparaged him. A lot of Jewish liberal leftist Trotskyites did that shit on purpose because he spoke out against Israel. And I'm just kind of like, well, it seems that you guys are just fucking Trotskyite scum. That's the thing about, like, the no kings thing, you know? It's just another one. You know, we had the March on Washington. What else? What other big fucking protests did we have that didn't do jack shit? We had the fucking, you know, Black Lives Matter protests. What they are is just fucking parties for the petty bourgeois. They're just fucking events to virtue signal and be like, I'm part of the resistance, guys. Yeah. I'm anti-Trump, so I'm anti-fascist, actually. I'm Antifa. Fucking retards. God. I hated liberals. Like, that's... You know what's funny? The funniest thing is when fucking retarded Republicans think I'm a liberal. I'm like, there has never been a moment in history where the Asian man has benefited from liberalism. Like, liberalism is anti-Asian Nazism from day fucking one. You had the Korean War. You had the Vietnam War. Even the war against Japan, like, yes, we appreciate that, right? Because we're not Japanese. But back then, they were saying fucking anti-Asian shit in the Democratic Party. Like, that's why they fucking... Like, there were some that wanted to fucking nuke the entire place. Which might not have been a bad idea, but... but for their own racist reasons, not because of justice for us, because they dared attack white people on their island that they didn't even fucking own. Yeah, Republicans are liberals too. But at least they're like upfront about their racism. Like liberals want to eat their cake and eat it too, you know, have their cake and eat it too. Fucking fat fucks. That's why they're so fucking fat too. Fucking fat liberals. Fucking fat. Oh, you're so fat phobic. Yeah, that's right, I'm fat phobic. I don't want you to see your fucking face in my fat face in my fucking face. I don't want to see your fat ass in my fucking face, you fat fuck. That's why I left KTSC. Fat Asians are are a Western abomination. Oh man. I have to shit I say just say to make myself laugh, to be honest. Who's Tarkan? Tarkan? But yeah. I don't know. It's just you know, I won a fell for it again award, I guess. Well, not a fell for it again, I guess fell for it the first time. I did go to some of the protests, the Black Lives Matter protests in 2020. I actually bought riot gear and stuff because I thought I was getting shot with rubber bullets or whatever. Like I had like knee pads on or whatever. I actually didn't wear it to that one, but I had it ready in case there were like more violent ones to go to. Back when I thought protests did something. But no, when you think about it though, the reason why they thought protests did something is because like, you know, after 63, after that march on Washington, they publicized it. They're like, give all the cred to Martin Luther King. Oh, he's such a brilliant speaker. Oh, kumbaya. If only everyone listened to his message, racism would be solved tomorrow. And you know, it's that simple, right? We're getting there. We're getting to the revolution, you know, because they let Martin Luther King talk about his dream, and progress is happening, and so it creates this kind of like dopamine effect of like, hey, this shit's working. When you know, really protests don't do shit if there's no economic or military base behind it. That's all of politics. All of politics, like, you know, like Mao says, politics all comes out of a barrel of a gun, right? Politics is meaningless if you don't have the power to enforce it. Like, let's say I'm the government of the United States right now. People will laugh at me because they were like, no, you're not. How are you dictating our laws and whatever? You know, like, there's a government that does that. You're not the government. You know, they call me retarded. But that's exactly what these fucking retards do. They're like, yeah, we're going to lead the revolution because all these people attended. And it's like, okay, well, what happened after that fucking march or whatever, that protest? Did you organize, and did you organize them into a party of collective action? Did they organize into any sort of organization? So you do collective action against some sort of fucking government institution or whatever? Besides just voting harder? No, you didn't do fucking bullshit. You didn't do fucking shit. It's just the same fucking... This is why, you know, instinctually, as an Asian American, you know, at the age of 13, I was like, yeah, politics is fucking bullshit. I don't want to attend a protest either way. Like, even the fucking retarded people in Charlotte... Remember the Trump kind of rallies in 2017? I'm just like, what are you trying to accomplish there? First of all, your guy already won. So you're just being fucking retarded. If you want some change, just go to the guys, you know. Go complain to the actual fucking Republican Party, because that's who you voted in. So take them to task to do shit. But they're so retarded. They're like, oh no, we need to be fucking Nazis now. Openly, I guess, because that's just how we're retarded. It's like people just do shit for their own fucking self-aggrandizement. That's what American politics is. Even fucking presidents and whatever, they're all fucking puppets. They're not. Trump doesn't matter. Kamala doesn't matter. Biden doesn't matter. Nobody fucking matter. Like, even Elon doesn't fucking matter. Elon doesn't matter. The people who's actually controlling this shit are a grade above Elon. The Elons, the Trumps, even the fucking like Teals and Dreesens, whatever. They're still all a level below the fucking big bankers. The fucking, the Rothschilds, the Guggenheims, the Rockefellers, the Vanderbilts, all those fucking banking families that keep their assets hidden from sight. Because think about it. All those charts that say, hey, if you invested $100 in 1921, it'd be worth $1 million today, or some shit like that, right? You hear that shit all the time. Well, guess who had more than $100 in back then? Guess who had millions of dollars back then? So if you extrapolate that millions in that 1921 and invested in the market, how much fucking money do you think they all fucking have? They have like unfathomable amounts of fucking capital at their disposal. Which is why the only thing that stands in their way of global domination is the People's Republic of China. That's why we will always be targeted until that revolution happens in the West, especially in the West. We will never have the Asian man will never have self-actualization in the West until they are defeated by the People's Republic of China. That's it. That's the way it is. They can't afford to let us have any influence. Because once we get influence, now we bring our cultures into the mix. Now we bring our history into the mix. Now we bring our collective struggle into the mix. And what was our collective struggle? What were the Korean people's collective struggle against? What was the Vietnamese people's collective? What were the Chinese people? What were they struggling against? Even Japan. If you bring Japan in that mix, if you talk about their entire history, now Japanese people become class conscious of like, oh, shit, yeah. We did all that shit because of Western imperialism. And now we're just fucking, they're fucking bootlickers. Now we're just their dogs, And so that's why they can never, ever, 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 ever allow the Asian man to be seen as heroic in the West. Never. They can never even allow that to happen. There's two types of people in the world. Those who earn money and those who control the creation of money. Exactly. All the rich people, all the Rockefellers, all the Carnegies or whatever. They're like, hey, I want to create a dynasty where, my progeny will be rich for all of fucking eternity. It's just so fucking funny when people are like, oh, generational wealth. Like, building generational wealth is so important. I'm just kind of like, you fucking retards. Like, if everyone was building generational wealth, money doesn't fucking just all multiply on its own. Not everyone can have generational wealth. Generational wealth implies the subjugation of other people. But not only that, I'm just kind of like, nah. The generational wealth train has left the station. There's no way you can guarantee that your fucking retarded ancestors are not going to squander away. Even if you make billions of dollars, they're probably going to squander that shit within 3 generations. These people in the early 1800s, in the late 1800s and early 1900s, they've built up fucking empires and built up enough of a critical mass of capital that they will never fucking not be generational wealth. You know, they will have wealth to the end of fucking time because they control, like Illustrious said, how that money is printed, how that money is made. But yeah, I agree with Illustrious because they push that shit because it's like, it's individualistic. It promotes hereditarianism, and hereditarianism promotes individualism, promotes fascism. Right. The real people holding levers of power are actually not narcissists. They're psychopaths. They are psychopaths who are in the fucking shadows. You don't even know who I don't even know. They're probably the Rothschilds, but you don't know who the fucking Rothschilds are. That's just like a name, right? They could be Rothschilds all over the fucking planet. And they're fucking agents. The CIA that's working for them, right? MI6, CIA. They're all under their fucking employ. You know, the super rich who know how to get the money around to where it needs to go for their own fucking interests. Soros is actually not part of that. He's just a goon on Elon's level. Let's see. That's why they're constant culture war. Yeah. Everything bourgeois propaganda does is to commodify the person, to separate you from family, to separate you from social bonds, social ties, to isolate you completely so you become a fucking Duracell battery, you know, just like in the Matrix, to turn a human being into this, right? Rich Dad, Poor Dad, that book. What did Rich Dad, Poor Dad say? He sounded like a retard when I heard about him. Without a value system such as family bonds, yeah. I think you already talked about that, but yeah, that's the way the cookie crumbles, y'all. That's the way it is. Looking back on the things I've done, I was trying to be super rich. Oh man. Yeah, I don't know what else. Let's see if somebody asked me any questions from my NGL. I'm not feeling too talkative today, so I might end early. Who knows? Oh, I got 2 messages today. Doug, when did you lose your virginity? That's an interesting question you would ask, but I'll give a vague answer so as to not out anyone. I lost it around a decade ago. I was a Christ cell for the first 31 years of my life. So I basically shunned people. You know, there were multiple opportunities, you know, where Potiphar's wife was tempting me, you know. Got multiple Potiphar wives on the case, you know, and when I was in high school, you know, there was these, you know, I'm not gonna name any names. I don't want to embarrass anyone, but you know, but yeah, that's that question. I mean, I assume it's from a fucking retard, a troll, but that's the answer. Yo, later, Nico. What are your other thoughts of What are your thoughts of the other DPRK guy on KTSC? I assume you're talking about the guy who created the documentary. I mean, I don't know him too well, to be honest. I think it's okay. It's kind of lib and kind of naive, in my opinion. But I don't know too much about him. I mean, he makes good content, I guess. Like, so all the more power to him. You know, make content with DPRK. You know, the brothers. What was it? It was like loyal citizens of Pyongyang. So all for supporting people who support that, but not exactly my cup of tea, to be honest. I think he's a little lib, and that's all I'll say about that. I don't really know him that well. But yeah, that's the only two questions. One troll question and from a retard, and that. But yeah, unless anyone else have any questions about what do you want me to discuss anything? Do you want me to say anything about anything, or ask me anything about a topic that happened? What happened this week? I don't even fucking know. I guess that No Kings thing was the thing I was talking about, but other than that, the No Kings thing makes me think of you know what things it makes me think of that We Three Kings do 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 do. You know, in my research on Japanese anime, I noticed they use a lot of Judeo-Christian references, like the three magi, right? That's a very highly used trope in Japanese stuff. The Melchior, Gaspar, and Balthasar. I actually didn't know this, but they are supposed to be kings, and the frankincense, incense, and myrrh is actually supposed to represent Jesus's, like, it's supposed to be like prophesying his life. Like the myrrh was like representing death or something, and all this other shit. And yeah, one was from India. One of the kings was from India. One was from Persia, and one was from Africa, I think. So it kind of like represented that people all around the world knew that Jesus was Jesus. Though I'm wondering how that was true in India, right? Because in India, I think they were mostly Hindu there, right? For the longest time. I don't fucking know. I'd have to do more research on that. What I'm currently reading is Schopenhauer's Peregra and Parallel. Yeah. So what I found interesting in the introduction was he said something like, not him, but the person basically wrote that it is this rapidly became the Bible of the educated bourgeoisie. So it's literally a manual on Trotskyism. That's what that is. But a note about this book. This was written in 1850. So Schopenhauer writes his system when he was 30 years old. He's very young, actually. He wrote it in 1818, but he never really deviates from that system of the will and representation. But throughout his life, he writes kind of like works to elucidate, or I guess talk more about his thing, but it's supposed to like be observations using his system of society. But it can be read without reading the will and representation. This is significant, though. This is going to be another rabbit hole I'll be digging into at some point. But the reason it's significant is because before this book, he's actually not very popular in Europe. But in 1848, he kind of finances a counter-revolution against the German Revolution, or counter-revolutionary forces against the German Revolution. And I think from that point, British Secret Service probably had some eyes on him. So he comes out with this because Schopenhauer was also an Anglophile himself. He loved Shakespeare. I think he spoke in English as well, or he knew how to speak in English. And so I'm pretty sure he had some ties to British intelligentsia. And in 1953, there comes this glowing review from the Westminster Review, which is I guess, it was kind of like a philosophical digest for the British bourgeoisie, right? It was started by, I think it was started by Mill, who was Jeremy Bentham's kind of, John Stuart Mill, who was Jeremy Bentham's protege, I guess. But they were, they were fucking capitalist scum. Promoted all this fucking bullshit of imperialism. And so there was a glowing review in this thing, and all of a sudden in 1853, when the review comes out of this, everyone in Europe is all about or everyone who's in the bourgeoisie who's about bourgeoisie is about Schopenhauer at that point, because now it's like after the failed revolutions, after the fucking French Revolution, everyone was like pro Hegel, right? Because they were like, oh, optimism, like everything's gonna change for the better, and we're gonna all be in a glorious, equality in life and whatever. But after the failed 1848 revolutions, and everyone was glooming, and everyone was like, oh, this shit sucks. Guess who was promoting this shit? It was fucking England. And so that's one of the books I'm reading right now. I just finished my Lenin biography. Really good. He is somewhat anti, communist in general, but I feel like it's as objective as you're going to find in English. I've never, I should look into if there's a Russian kind of Russian biography, but yeah. In English, this is probably the best you're going to get. That's not that biased. I would say it's pretty accurate in a lot of ways. It just kind of, the editorialization of some shit might get annoying, but whatever. I just finished this. It's about autism as well. I like it because it kind of like, she's like so close. She's so close to being like, why is America not industrializing anymore? Why are we unable to build shit anymore? She's so close. She's so close, but nevertheless, she's incorrect because she thinks it's a top-down solution instead of a bottom-up. Because she glazes Elon, and that's retarded. I'm still reading this. Yeah, very interesting stuff, actually, because it has to do with... What I'm finding is that a lot of magic and a lot of black magic stuff in Western was almost kind of a reaction that dovetailed with the Protestant movement. It was like kind of like a reaction against Protestantism, because like some Catholic people were like, well, now this Protestantism is kind of like mundane and like not really mystical anymore. So we got to add the mysticism back. So this is like some people were just adding shit to magic or whatever. But now it's also kind of talking about, I haven't got to this yet, but there's chapters about like how, it tied into Freemasonry and all that shit. And that has to do with my theory about like, how Protestantism was kind of a reaction against Catholic capitalism, right? And so if the love of money is the root of all evil, all that extra money coming into Europe about like learning and egoism, whatever, all that shit, guess when all this started to happen? Right during the Renaissance, right? So, that's kind of like interesting me in that regard. It's also, obviously inspired the Nazis as well. So that's kind of why I'm mainly reading it. But now that I see that there's probably a connection to Freemasonry, that's kind of like the old English capitalism, right? When in the 1600s, when English capitalism was starting to become ascendant. Um, so those are the books I'm reading. What are your 5 to 10 year prediction between China, Asia, and the West? 5 to 10 year prediction. Well, it all hinges basically on when the Great Depression Part 2.0 happens and how it happens. Um, a lot of people see similarities between America and 1980s Soviet Union. And I think I agree kind of in theory. Bureaucratically, it's the same kind of like bullshit. But unfortunately, unlike the Soviet Union, America still has military dominance over the rest of the world. Um, Hi, I am Cinny. I usually talk on, or I usually have comments on YouTube if you want to hop over there and comment. So it's really hard to predict. I'm not going to make a prediction because, like, that's just, like, impossible. I feel like no one knows how anything's going to shake out. Like, like 5 years ago, I was of the mind of, like, yeah, people like if they're anything like the fucking Nazis, which they are in my opinion, they're not going to give up and they would rather die than not be on top, right? So given that, I'm a little doomerism in that regard. Hopefully I will leave before any of that happens. But you know, it's always been a contradiction with me actually. A lot of people are like, "Man, you're always so down on everything, but at the end of the day, you still your actions seem to to say that you have hope for society." So it's just like you're very cynical, but at the same time you're very optimistic because you're still trying. You're still trying to fight against the current. And I was like, yeah, that's basically why my Yellow Knight thing has a Don Quixote reference to it. Because I still have the idealism of Don Quixote. But, I don't know. I don't fucking know. Who knows, right? Who the fuck knows? All I know is that by 2100, either two scenarios will happen. China will be the leader of the world in a positive direction, or we will all be dead. That's basically my 75-year prediction, Richard. So I know that didn't really answer your question, but that's my 75-year prediction. In 2100, we will either all be dead or China will be the leader of the world. And that's just based on math, I would say. Alrighty, I'm gonna bounce now. Oh shit, a lot of people are watching right now. Or are they? I don't even fucking know. Maybe, maybe not. But I'll see you guys next time. Yes, I will definitely be dead as well by 2100. So that prediction will most likely become true. I don't think I even want to be alive by 2100 because even if I do that blood bag shit, those weird Silicon Valley things, I feel like your quality of life is going to be so terrible by then. It's just, and not only that, everyone you know is going to be dead probably because they weren't rich enough to do your fucking blood bag bullshit. So for me, I don't even fucking want to live to 2100. I feel like when I'm like 60 or 70 or whatever, or like, not feeling well, I'm just going to be like, yeah, it's time. It's time. It's time, God. Take me back just like Elijah. Get me your Uber chariot. And Tenchi Chrono. Yo, I just saw your stream on Twitter, Doug. Who are you, Tenchi Chrono? I'm about to bounce, by the way, Tenchi. Die old and leave a Zuckerberg looking corpse. Did you guys see that, by the way? I don't know if I showed you guys last time, but there was a 93-year-old man. I think I showed you guys, right? Fucking 93-year-old white dude with an Asian woman. I'm just kind of like, I feel like I'm forever Moses, Mordecai, Jonah. I'm like all these frustrated people like, you dumb fucks. Oh, thanks, Tenchi. You know what the funniest thing about like Zionists and Jews say? Like, well, the Bible said to, respect Israel and whatever. I'm like, you know what the Old Testament is about? The Old Testament is essentially about how Jews fucked up every single fucking thing in the world. And God forgave them every time. The point of the Old Testament is to show man's fallibility. That's the fucking point. The point is that like even God's chosen people fuck up every single time. But then God redeems them, right? He forgives them. And then Jesus is supposed to be, all right, we ain't doing that fucking bullshit anymore where you fuck up and whatever. Now everyone's saved because now we can see from the Old Testament that man can't achieve salvation on his own. Throughout the history of man, throughout the history of the chosen ones, you obviously cannot get to God on your own. So you need to accept your own fucking sinfulness. And guess who he sent this message to the most? Guess who is criticizing the fucking most? The Pharisees. He wasn't being like, yo, poor people, you need to get your act together. You need to stop sinning. No, he didn't say that shit. He said, you fucking Pharisee fucking pieces of shit. Stop being judgmental fucking pieces of shit. And why don't you actually help people? Why don't you actually put your money where your mouth is? You greedy fucks at my temple. You're at my temple trying to fucking make money, you greedy fucks. Why don't you just fucking help people? You dumb fucking, synagogue of Satanists. That's what he said about the Jews. Because guess what? The Pharisees of that time, in the Roman era, after the Nicene Creed in, I think it was like 320 AD, they wrote the Talmud as a reaction against the Nicene Creed. Because those Pharisees got together and they were like, oh, fuck this Nicene Creed shit. It's talking shit about us. So we got to talk shit about Christ. So the Talmud is all about the Pharisees that Christ was fucking dogging on the entire time. And they're writing this bullshit fucking Talmud. That's what the Talmud is. So no, Christ did not like y'all. If you didn't accept Christianity, you were part of the synagogue of Satan. That's what that fucking verse means. Because now, if you don't follow after Christ, after what he did, after the resurrection, and after the fucking witnesses, that was the point of Christianity. You are now a satanic worshiper because you now are deviating from the main path that has been made, that the prophecy has been fulfilled, and now you are a satanic deviator. So that's the whole thing about Jews and Jesus. Like, yeah, if you accepted Christ in your heart, the first Jews were Christian, right? The 12 disciples, they were all Christian, right? The first Jews, and even Paul the apostle, right? He was saying first for the Jew, then for the Gentile, right? He wasn't saying that to say Jews are better than Gentiles. He was saying that to say the prophecy was meant for the Jews, but now it's also meant for the Gentiles. But if you're not a believing Jew in Jesus, then get the fuck out of here. You know, that's basically the point of Christianity. Not to say that Christ was killed by the Jews or whatever, or, you know, when, you know, it was all about the Romans and all this fucking bullshit political shit too. That's not what, you know, the anti-Semitic trope that we're talking about. The anti-Semitic trope is like about like Jews killing Jesus. Like, yeah, I guess like that kind of happened, but then Jews also were Jesus, right? Jesus was a Jew and his disciples were Jews. So it wasn't like a only fucking Jewish people killed Jesus. It was also the Roman authorities. And, you know, Peter was trying to save Jesus at the time, so he was Jewish and he was trying to save Jesus, so that argument is retarded. But the argument that, you know, Jesus said to like love all Jews no matter what, that's also fucking retarded, because clearly no. Clearly the Bible is like, yeah, synagogue of Satan. They pretend to be Jews, but they're not, because in that context, in the Revelation context, when they say Jews, they mean Christ followers, right? Because the Revelation presupposes that Christianity is true, and Christianity is the truth of Judaism. But, yeah. Will there be like and dislike buttons at Zuck's funeral? No. Am I doing more predictions? I don't even know if Facebook's going to be around in the iteration that it is in 40 years. So I would say no, because there probably won't even be Facebook at that time. Do all Jews buy in that their chosen people are mostly Zionist? What about the real Jews? I don't even know shit about the religion, bro. Enlighten me. No, obviously all Jews don't buy in that they're chosen people. It's all the fucking Zionists, cretins. Like, a lot of Jews in America don't even like believe anything. They're like atheists. They're just like secular people that just happen to be part of the Jewish faith, you know, or their ancestors were part of the Jewish faith. Because, like, as we all know, European Jewish people are not really like racially Jews. They have like very insignificant amount of Jewish DNA, or like DNA from the Levant, right? They've mixed with, they were 2,000 years in Europe, right? You're telling me they didn't fucking mix with the whites? Come on now. So all that racial shit is so fucking retarded. So a lot of Jews in America, yeah, they were like, yeah, I don't really do that because I'm not religious. And that's fine, right? There are some secular Zionists, though, that obviously see the benefits of Zionism, like rapey pedophiles that use Israel to get out of jail free, right? But on the whole, yeah, most Jews don't even buy into the fucking religion. They just want to, they're just imperialists. I would say the real Jews are the ones who basically call out Zionism as being bullshit. Because that's what it is. That's what Polish Jews did. And that's why they were all killed. There were Orthodox rabbis all over Poland who was like, Zionism is heretical. And Zionists were like, you know what? Let's let Hitler take care of these guys for us. Okay, goodbye. But yeah. All right, Tenchi Chrono, I'm about to bounce, and it's an early stream, early bounce, but I got nothing really to talk about right now. But yeah. All right, I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.